About a month ago, I tried to make a video where I tried to predict the entire match card for Survivor Series War Games 2024. And I made these predictions immediately after Crown Jewel ended. So I tried to use whatever logic or whatever contextual clues I had to try and predict this upcoming match card. So in today's video, we're going to go back to that old video. We're going to look and see what matches I predicted, and we're going to compare them to the matches that are properly announced for this upcoming show. And we're going to see how good or likely terrible my predictions were. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm really confident that you're going to fall in love with this YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. And if you're looking for even more daily wrestling content, consider checking out the Patreon, patreon.com/SantiZap. Over there, we upload like 12 extra videos every single week that never get uploaded to the YouTube page. So if you want even more content, go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. Let's get started with the video. One of the matches that I predicted was going to be on this show, in fact, I was really confident that it was going to be on this show, was Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. In fact, I was so confident that in that predictions video that I made, I actually tried to predict the stipulation of this match because I predicted that we were going to get Kevin versus Randy in an unsanctioned match. And can you really blame me for making that prediction, considering how their match at Crown Jewel ended, in that it never even started in the first place because they started beating the ever-living piss out of each other and even fighting into the arena and attacking referees and RKOing poor Adam Pearce? It got crazy to the point where the next natural step in this feud would have been a major match at a major Big Four WWE premium show in an unsanctioned match. So I don't hate myself for making this prediction because I actually thought that it was entirely logical and rational to make. In fact, if I'm being honest with you, I'm surprised that this isn't happening at this show, considering they're saving Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes until Saturday night's main event. So this could have been a great way for WWE to continue to build up Kevin Owens even more before that championship match against Cody in December. But here's the thing, not only am I wrong about this, neither Kevin Owens nor Randy Orton are on this card at all, which is actually baffling because Survivor Series is touted as a Big Four WWE premium live event, and it's just not feeling that way when you don't have two of its biggest stars on its brand on the show. Here's the thing, I'm still standing tall on this prediction, maybe just not at Survivor Series War Games, but I'm still confident that at some point or another, Randy Orton's going to come back from this injury caused by the pile driver from Kevin Owens. He's going to want to kill Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is going to want to kill Randy Orton again, and it's likely going to set up an unsanctioned match exactly like I'm predicting here. It's funny because this show has had a couple of matches in the last week just seemingly randomly get added to the show just to pad out the number of matches on this show when you really didn't need to do that when you had Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton as a very viable star-studded match that could have been easily inserted into this show without needing to rush it. But hey, is what it is. An L is an L. I won't cry about it anymore, although I still think that this should have been at this year's show. Here's one that I also was incredibly confident in. I thought that we were going to get Women's World Champion Liv Morgan defending against Io Sky at this year's Survivor Series War Games. And my logic was that WWE had just written off Rhea Ripley because of this orbital bone fracture injury, and they were talking about this injury as if she was going to be out for months. So I wasn't expecting Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan to reignite as a feud until the Royal Rumble or maybe the road to WrestleMania itself. So my logic was, and I ended up being correct, was without Rhea Ripley, you need to have Liv Morgan defend the Women's World Championship against the most readily available main eventer, and that really only left Io Sky as the most viable option. And in that video, I said that Io Sky is probably going to win a women's #1 contendership match of some sort, and she did. So I got all of those details exactly correct. However, this match is happening. It is for the Women's World Championship. The thing is, we don't know when the fuck it's actually happening. Clearly, it's not at Survivor Series War Games. I guess you could say I'm like a tiny bit right because they are both in a match. They're both in the Women's War Games matches in opposite teams. So I guess you could say something about that if you really wanted to. But this is another one of these matches that I really believe made sense still to this moment. I really feel like Io Sky versus Liv Morgan could have been a tremendous women's world championship match that could have taken place at this major show. So similar to Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, I'm still standing tall on this because I know that this match is going to happen. I just got the timeline wrong, seemingly. Yay, I finally got one right. It is Gunther defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Damian Priest. Now, my logic behind making this prediction, it was that going into Crown Jewel, Damian Priest approached Gunther and basically called a shot and told him, after Crown Jewel, I'm coming after you and I'm regaining that World Heavyweight Championship. So I kind of just put 2 and 2 together and just came up with like the most obvious conclusion you could come up with given the information. I'm excited that this match is happening because let's not forget their SummerSlam match was an absolutely fantastic match. And in fact, I appreciate the new story nuances of having little bitch boy Gunther getting bitched out by big bad Damian Priest throughout this feud. Because even though it is a rematch and a rehash of something that we've already seen, the character dynamics are entirely different because now Gunther, even though he went into SummerSlam as the challenger, he was the favorite. Now it seems, at the very least in storyline perspective, that Damian Priest is the one going in as the challenger and he's the favorite in this match. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I got this one right. Was it obvious? Yes, it was. I don't care. Get off me. All right. I'm taking my not L's. I don't want to take my L's. I'm taking my W's wherever I can. Fuck! I was so close. God damn it. I predicted in the last video that we would get Bron Breakker defending his Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus. And this was almost a legendary ass pull in this prediction because I made this prediction literally on a whim. I had nothing to go off of. And then literally like the next day, these two start feuding with each other. It was a beautiful, beautiful guess. And this match is happening kind of because it's a triple threat match that also involves Ludwig Kaiser. It's funny because out of all of the predictions that I made in that last video, I had the least amount of context and the least amount of logic when I made this prediction. This literally was an out of my ass guess. And I was, I guess, most of the way right. In fact, if I'm doing my math right, with one person right, that's 33 1/3% of the match that's correct. And then with 2 people, that's 66 and a 6% chance of, okay, all right, I'm not gonna do Steiner math, all right. But we're getting these two in a triple threat environment. Here's the thing. Now I'm more confident than ever that we're going to get a proper feud between these two. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have a championship change and Sheamus finally becomes a Grand Slam champion, maybe on the episode of Raw debuting on Netflix.
There you go.
Oh my God.
You see what I mean?
That was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, which is exclusively available on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're looking at the tag team classic that is DIY versus The Revival in a best 2 out of 3 falls at NXT TakeOver Toronto. We have a hardcore match between Shane McMahon and Steve Blackman at SummerSlam 2000. We've got real graps this week in the classic match between Bret Hart and Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. We have a ridiculous match between Sabu and Rob Van Dam in a ladder match. And we're looking at Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania 39. You're going to get this and so much more, like the Wrestling is Cool podcast 3 days early, the Raw reviews, the SmackDown reviews, the currently ongoing Undertaker Streak watch along, the currently ongoing Royal Rumble watch along, and more. So if you're doing the math, I actually upload more on Patreon than I do on YouTube, and those are videos that will never appear on YouTube. So go check it out. It's patreon.com/SantiZap. I'm confident that if you even try for 1 month, that you're absolutely going to fall in love with it. There's hundreds of videos already up and available for you to enjoy day one. So go check it out. The link will be in the description. The link will likely also be in the pinned comment, but that's it, folks. Let's get back to the video. Okay, this is another one that I thought I had in the bag. This was another one that I really thought was going to have a second match at Survivor Series War Games between these two. I really thought we were going to get Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed as a follow-up to their match at Crown Jewel the previous month. month. Here's the thing, even though Seth Rollins won clean at Crown Jewel, Bronson Reed still stood tall, bleeding, smiling. It just didn't feel like a definitive conclusion to this feud. And if the first match was on a PLE, I just figured that with the star power of Seth Rollins and the fact that this is a continuation of an already existing PLE feud, that these two would have match 2 at a PLE. And I just put 2 and 2 together and suggested Survivor Series War Games. I think that was an entirely logical conclusion to draw, but I was right in that we ended up getting Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed part 2, but I was entirely off in terms of the context of the match, and I was entirely off as to where it took place because it ended up taking place on Monday Night Raw. And now that I'm reminiscing on this match card, it is kind of crazy to think how many of WWE's top stars are missing from this entire show, considering this is supposed to be a big 4 show. It's missing Cody, Randy, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens. It's crazy. I'm not entirely convinced that this feud is done. I still think that there's going to be a third match considering the feud is technically tied. And I'm also not convinced that we won't have interactions between these two on the day of the show because Bronson Reed is on one of the teams for Survivor Series War Games. And on the other side is CM Punk. So 2 of Seth Rollins' most heated rivals at the moment in one match. Wouldn't be surprised if Seth Rollins crashes the match and attacks both of them. Off the back of Crown Jewel, I thought that this was a foregone conclusion, that they were going to go back to the format of 4v4 War Games and that we were going to get original Bloodline versus current iteration Bloodline 2.0 led by Solo Sikoa. For a long time, I was beating the drum that this should just be the match and that WWE was overcomplicating it by trying to add a 5th member to each team. I felt like it was overcomplicated when they added Bronson Reed, and even more complicated when they were trying to recruit the 5th member of the babyface team as they were trying to recruit Seth frickin' Rollins. I'm just glad that logic and reason persevered and won, and Seth Rollins didn't join a team that wouldn't have made any fucking sense for him to join. So I think everyone and their mom predicted all of these people that I have on screen to be on this match, but I don't think in a million years that anybody could have predicted Bronson Reed to be on one side and CM freaking Punk to be on the other. Like, that's an insane decision to go with. A crazy good one, but so insane that nobody ever could have predicted that. So I was like, mostly right. If you think about it, I got 8 out of 10 on a quiz at school. That's like a good grade. On the women's side, I figured if the men's was going to be 4v4, I also figured that the women's was also going to be 4v4. I ended up being wrong on that format, and I ended up being mostly wrong as to who ended up being in this match. So for the baby faces, I predicted Bayley, Naomi, as well as Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. And what's funny is that Bayley wasn't originally in this match, but she's been added last minute to it. So I got that right. But then Jade Cargill has been taken out, so I got that wrong. So I guess it's just a coin toss there. What I wasn't expecting was Io Sky and Rhea Ripley to be added into this. Like, it's still kind of wild to see the assortment of seemingly random grouping of baby faces that have come together for this match, especially considering we were all pretty much led to believe that Rhea Ripley was going to be out for a really long time. And I don't think that anyone would have predicted that Io Sky and Bianca Belair, let alone Io Sky and Bayley, or Bayley and Bianca Belair would ever be on the same team for anything ever again. Now, on the heel side, I got Nia Jax and I got Tiffany Stratton wrong, but I got Piper Niven and Chelsea Green wrong. My logic for adding those two was that this show takes place in British Columbia, which is where Chelsea Green is from. So I figured this could have been a nice homecoming. What I didn't predict was the announcement of the Women's United States Championship. And I predict that Chelsea Green is likely going to be going after that, likely getting to the final, and likely appearing at Saturday night's main event instead of the show. But to round out the heels, I would have never predicted Liv Morgan to team up with the person that she literally just feuded with in the previous PLE at Crown Jewel. And I guess subsequently, it wouldn't have made sense for me to predict Raquel either. I guess I could have probably connected the dots that maybe Candice LeRae made sense to be added to this match, considering she already had a bit of an alliance with Nia Jax and a bit bit of an uncomfortable partnership with Tiffany Stratton, so I probably should have predicted that one. But hey, I got some of the contestants right, some of the contestants wrong. You win some, you lose some, it seems. So those were my predictions. The matches that I predicted were mostly wrong. I would have never been able to guess Shinsuke Nakamura versus LA Knight. Like, that would have never come across my mind, considering I thought that Shinsuke was going to be gone likely until the Royal Rumble. So I really don't think that any content creator or any YouTuber that was trying to make that video would have ever guessed Shinsuke versus LA Knight. Not even close. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget that for Survivor Series War Games, we're going to be watching this together as a community, both here on YouTube and on Twitch. You can just sort of pick and choose which platform you prefer, but I would love for you to come by so that you have a community to watch the show with and so that you can nerd out about everything that happens. But folks, I'll see you in the next one. That's it. I'm out of here. No, you get out of here. I got my outro wrong. Anyways, bye.